Hi, this is Tiffany Standard here with In Progress We Trust, powered by Stimulus and Swissboard. And we are doing a pre-event for the Made in America Festival, the 6th annual Made in America Festival, happening this weekend for Labor Day. And we're speaking to a lot of the partners in the event and also some local Philadelphia artists to really talk about how music, culture, technology, and community really impacts the Philadelphia area. So we're going to welcome our guests here to really have an in-depth conversation, because a lot of people do not know that United Way has been partnered with the Made in America Festival for the last 6 years, and now ACLU is a new partner this year for the 6th annual Made in America Festival. And we really wanted to talk about how it impacts Philly over the last 6 years, how it's going to impact it this year, and kind of talk about what's been happening. And we're going to welcome our first guest, Bill Cobb. How are you?
I'm incredible. How are you?
I'm good. And then we have Priya Marie. She is a Philadelphia-based recording artist. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we also have Kevin Dow. He is with United Way.
Glad to be here.
And we have Shawn Smith, a Philadelphia-based recording artist as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I really wanted to bring together the conversation of community and artists that are creating music here in the Philadelphia area and are traveling and really taking their music outside of the area. So I want you to start and kind of tell us what you do at ACLU.
So I am the Deputy Director of the ACLU's Campaign for Smart Justice, which is the largest campaign in the ACLU's 97-year history. Our goal is to reduce our nation's prison population in half while combating racial disparities in the criminal justice system.
Cool. Awesome. And you're a recording artist. Tell us a lot about what you do in the community as well.
Yeah, so again, my name is BriaMarie. I am a humanitarian, entrepreneur, and entertainer. One of the causes that's near and dear to my heart is bullying. I actually have an anti-bullying campaign called Love Over October. And we go different places, not only Philadelphia, but the region. We've been able to gift kids with 76ers tickets and things and spread the word about bullying awareness, suicide prevention, and just working to continue to build.
Awesome. And Kevin, you are with United Way. So tell us about your role there.
Yeah, I lead all of our impact strategies, which are the resources that we put into communities via nonprofit agencies that are focused on solving problems around intergenerational poverty. We focus on early learning, we focus on career pathways and pipelines for young people, and we focus on creating economic self-sufficiency. Got to get that out, got to be a little clearer with that, in order to drive strategies that will help stop this cycle of people being in poverty generation after generation. So it's a 2-generation kind of thing, and making sure that we focus on the right areas with the right tools to solve these problems.
Awesome. And Mr. Shawn Smith, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a music artist from Philadelphia, Southwest Philadelphia to be exact. I'm just getting more involved with talking to the youth more. I'm actually going to my first school in October to talk to a bunch of kids, and I'm nervous and excited about it at the same time, because I'm really passionate about my music touching the youth in a way that I can be proud about. I did music before, and I took some time back to rebrand and come out with a more positive impact for the younger crowd. And I've been through a lot of what they've been through, so I spend a lot of time in the streets and talking to a lot of kids I grew up with and just trying to get their head in the right place and trying to grow with them as well. So.
Awesome. So part of what we do with Stimulus, which is my company, I'm the founder and CEO, we really focus on connecting communities to resources and then working with larger companies to really help that resource deepen their community impact. And talking about how for-profit and nonprofit companies partner, as well as artists and communities partner. And then also working with Philly Speaks on 100.3, where we host and really talk about community, and had a chance to interview ACLU and United Way over the past couple weeks to really talk about impact. So how do you see for-profits and nonprofits collaborating more, especially for festivals such as Made in America? I'll start with you.
Yeah, so the ACLU is doing a great job, specifically the Campaign for Smart Justice, in building relationships with employers as relates to people living with arrest and criminal histories. We know that the 100 million Americans who are living with arrest and criminal convictions face over 50,000 collateral consequences, and many of them are associated with being able to provide for themselves and their families through employment. So the ACLU recently partnered with some private companies to do a report called Back to Business, and it highlights the benefits of private sector actually changing their hiring practices and their policies to ensure that Americans who have been in conflict with the criminal justice system have an opportunity to give valuable contributions to their communities. So that's just one of the ways in which we partner with the private sector.
Awesome. So what about you with United Way?
Yeah, United Way has a unique relationship, one that we're privileged to have, to sit between private companies, corporations, individuals, foundations, the communities who we want to serve, the constituents and the people who really need our services, stakeholders like government, and we bring all of those together, right? And we believe that we can't do it on our own. We must have partners with us. We must be able to do collaborations. And private organizations, private companies, private individuals have resources that they're looking to invest socially, responsibly, and we give them a path to do that. We give them a strategy to do that that results in outcomes that they can be proud of, and that they can see a path for a young person or an older person out of poverty in a way in which is focused on their education or their leadership in corporate America, or a pathway to a job, or that mother who is needs some stability so that she can take care of her kid, right? And so that's, when you talk about the connection between private and public and corporations and foundations like United Way, that's the value add that we provide, is that we bring all of them together to solve these problems as a collective.
So being a part of a music festival such as Made in America, that's Jay-Z, J. Cole, Solange, all these different musicians that are now coming to the light as far as supporting different efforts and putting money out there, doing festivals and benefit of it. How do you think music and culture helps the different issues that you just talked about? So I'm gonna start with Shawn. You are writing music, you're developing music, and as you said, you're about to go and speak to students for the first time about what you do. How do you think you're gonna impact them being a musician?
Oh, it's the impact is really personal with me, because I feel like the kids I'm going to talk to, they want to feel like they're talking to somebody who really talk their language, who really just came from where they came from. And a lot of the times we look up to a lot of rappers that we see on TV that would never get to touch. You got somebody in front of you that's telling you, look, I was in your position and I've been through a lot of the same things you've been through, but I'm doing music now and I'm business minded now, and this is how it's helped me. This is how it's going to help me. So my main thing is just like, I look at all of them like exactly how I look at my little brother. Like I understand them and I stay close to them, and when they hear my music, I don't want them to hear just, all right. So kids like that, we listen to rappers like more than we listen to our parents and the president and the teacher. We listen to rappers like we can quote any rap verse before we can anything else. So when I go into the booth to make music, I got the youth in mind. I got more positive things in mind, and I kind of want to just give lessons that still they can understand, that's not too far of where they come from. So when they listen to my music, they can hear that. When they meet me in person, I give them that same thing. And you never know, like, one of their minds could be sparked to want to be better than me one day. So that's just what I hope to do.
What about you, Priya?
Music is so incredibly important in our culture and so influential. Thinking about, like, just seeing what the panel was about before I got here, I was in the car and just thinking about it. And the last time you saw the black community specifically being so excited about being black was when people like James Brown were talking about, I'm black and I'm proud. Right. You had that music, you had Soul Train where people are so excited to be black. That was the last time that everybody was just like hype about it. Now the music is starting to change. I mean, it was sparked by a lot of the bad social things that we had going on, but the music is starting to change, and you see people being more excited. Like, there's a reason that the Black Girl Magic hashtag has been so excited. Like, there's a reason for that, because the music is changing, so it directly influences. And I've heard, I have a lot of great mentors, and one of my mentors, Carvin Hagens, I've heard him say, we learn our ABCs by music.
Yeah, we do.
That's how we learn. We learn through melody. So whatever is being said in the music, that's what you're subconsciously getting. We don't go too far from how we learn. So the music is always going to be incredibly influential for our culture.
Yeah, I love that. Even just to talk about Black Girl Magic and hashtag for the culture. So that's been big lately with like amazing Black movies doing well in the theater, music, and us being celebrated as far as our culture. So how do you use that to either combat or override the other side of what's happening? So all the presidents and all the negativity and stuff that's happening in the news, it's a lot. So you got one side that's like, yay, right? We're happy, making money, music is doing well. And you have the other side when you're like, what do we do about this? How do we talk about this? How do we get excited and bring it all together to take happiness from one side to bring it to sides that are not doing well?
Yeah, right. So when we think about the history of movements in the country and across the world, music has always been directly associated, just like she indicated, right? And so mass incarceration is this problem where America has now in the habit of putting people in cages to the degree that where there are 2.4 million people inside of cages. And it disproportionately impacts Black and brown communities across our country. And we know that the hip hop culture and R&B, all of that belongs to that same people. So it's so dope when Rock Nation and Jay-Z are talking about what's transpiring in our nation and in our communities, and then leveraging their talents and their gifts to actually inform the people as to what's going on. Shout out to the young brother Scalito, who's here from Philadelphia, who's got a deal with Rock Nation, who has an entire project coming out about mass incarceration, about his brother who's currently serving life in prison, who was sentenced by a juvenile. Those sorts of projects in art are going to propel people to action and keep them deeply engaged. We're so much more informed when music and melody is associated with the way that we are living our lives on a daily basis.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that, as we talked about that, so often music is so ingrained in our community and how we're socialized, right? So you say ABCs, the nursery rhymes, right? I can probably still repeat the Sugar Hill Gang rap. I won't, but that's my generation.
You still know it though.
But yeah, I still
right.
But imagine if we wrap that around, science, math, and reading like we can with music. And we can use that as a vehicle to educate our children who might not think that that's a path that they need to go down, right? So for music and for what we can do with it is it's a draw. We know that there are all these other kind of easy things drawing these kids away from the right thing to do. Whatever it is, it's so easy. It's an easier choice, right? And so education and going further in a kind of an educational career path or wherever it may be doesn't seem like something that could pay off for them. So what do we have to do? We got to make it connect, right? And we got to connect where they are, not where we are,
Where they are.
but where they are, right? And so that's rapping. That's all about making music. That's all about saying, hey, when you do the scales, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you think about it as an eighth, as a tenth, whatever it may be. That's all about math, right? And you translate it in a way in which they understand it and they accept it and they think it's fun. And at the same time, they're learning all the skills that they need, whether that's math, reading, or science.
Yeah, I just also want to say that it's the full embrace of the arts. Like yesterday, we did a screening of a movie called Crown Heights, which is about Colin Warner, who was unjustly incarcerated for 21 years for a murder that he didn't commit. And the producer was Nnamdi Asomugha, who had no clue as to how prevalent mass incarceration was or its origins. So in preparation to produce the movie, he began to engage in studying, and he used the 13th Amendment, Ava DuVernay's movie. He read some books. He got engaged in other culture in order to be educated. So arts and culture, all of it, the broad spectrum of the gifts and talents that people make those sorts of investments with, all of that helps drive the movement. All of that helps drive change. All of that educates people as to the degree and the severity of a problem, and also to what the actual solutions are.
So getting ready for this weekend, and United Way has been with them for 6 years. This is your first year. First time going, which is crazy. Right? 6 years? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to have a glass, my brother?
Right? 48 hours of craziness, but it's definitely an amazing weekend. So what are your plans for this weekend? Like, what are you looking to focus on? Because we talked about this before, like leading up to the event, you're kind of doing like outreach and partnerships and talking about your plans for the weekend, and then people are there to listen to music, people are drinking. How do you plan to impact attendees while you're there?
Yeah, so I am so delighted that the actual fan that I have We have printed over 150,000 of these fans. The ACLU has recruited and prepared over 100 volunteers, all whom will be wearing an ACLU t-shirt that says, "People, not prisons." And so while people are listening to music and while people are drinking, I think that the visual will actually create opportunities for conversations to be had. And then our staff from the Pennsylvania affiliate will be on the ground to engage people in conversation, to get their information. And the truth of the matter is that this problem is so pervasive that 1 out of 3 black and brown men have had an experience of that sort. So what that means is that those individuals who are concert goers will be individuals who have criminal arrest and records, will be sons and fathers and husbands and daughters of people who had that experience here in America. So it's an opportunity for them to connect to the ACLU's effort, for them to make a contribution, for them to make an investment of time in the future, so that collectively we can resolve this issue that's just having a devastating impact on communities across the country.
So Kevin, you've been doing it now for 6 years. How do you continue to yearly have an impact, and how do you decide what to speak about every year, and how do you measure your relationships with the attendees?
Yeah, I mean, we do it in a number of different ways. It's really, and I'm gonna be straight with you, it's a branding, right? Jay-Z, made in America, hey, it's a nice brand connection for us, right? If we can be affiliated with that, then that brand loyalty and that brand recognition hopefully will come to us. We've seen that. And so how do we see it? We see it in the way in which we gauge young people. Not only those that are coming out to the concert itself, but those that might be seeing it, whether it's on Facebook Live, whether it's on any particular channel, whatever it may be, they affiliate that brand with us, and then we can then translate that brand recognition into value for United Way. How do we do that? We do that with engagement opportunities. We get them involved. We do volunteerism. We bring people out. We make sure that we get their contact information. That's critical. The festival itself has a cause-related tent. We man that. We make sure our volunteers are there so that we're out there touching people where they are. One of the things that we are able, from a pure financial perspective, really be able to make some financial gains here, where we then are able to direct that right into our communities, into organizations that are touching people that we all feel for, want to support, and need our support, and need us to be there. And so every year it's a great opportunity to do all of those types of things.
Cool. So Bria and Shawn, being performers, right? And you just performed with Kevin Hart Day, and you have opened from DMX to Ice Cube. So as he just said, talking about partnerships and branding and how to get the millennials to come, them to go to the millennials instead of millennials to come to them. What do you suggest for organizations such as ACLU and United Way to interact with people our age as far as making sure that their message is heard at that festival? I'll start with you.
Definitely through social media, I would say, and like you said, just meeting them halfway, using a familiar face that all the kids and generation really trust and like. That'll really get them involved. And like I said, just speaking their language, like just getting in social media, whatever they're on, and that's the best way to do it.
I think these fans and the t-shirts are absolutely genius. Having something at the festival that it's a great takeaway and it's a useful thing that they can actually use, and then look at it later and say, oh, what's this website, and go find it. But being there and interacting with the people is always the greatest thing. Having the little promotional things, a band or something, is always going to be great, and then they get a good message. Something as simple as people, not prisons. We all saw the 13th documentary. So something as simple as that, we can connect with that. So I think doing things like that is definitely helpful.
Awesome. So then also, you being a performer, and you talk about anti-bullying and different messages that you are focused on. So as you're creating music and you're creating your brand and social media, YouTube, how do you get your message across besides just music? Like, how do you let people know what you are supporting and or will support, like kind of showcasing your either political views or community views?
Well, it's all, my music is who I am. It's not a separation. You know, what I'm saying in my music, that's who I am. What I put on my Instagram, that's who I am. It's all a brand. Somebody, Carmen said the other day, Jay-Z said, I'm a businessman. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. It's an entire brand. So from my website, I have a letter that I wrote to people on my website before my biography, just saying a little bit about me and things that I like and things that I don't like. You know, it's all just giving yourself to the people that way.
And what about you, Shawn? I read on your website, which was like, I plan on impacting the youth and becoming more than a household name and inspiration.
Yeah,
Which is really cool. I like
my
that.
main thing with my brand is I sell hope. You know, Coke sell happiness. I sell hope because I come from such a negative place. I like to sell hope, and besides music, I just like to make sure I conduct myself in a more positive way than I once did. So my name used to be Young Savage. Everybody knew Young Savage. You see me now and be like, wow, you switched it up. That's what's
Right,
up.
glasses and
Yeah,
everything.
just make sure that I can show them that my life has changed, and just you know how to talk to people. I know a lot of like the younger cats or even friends I used to be around. They still wilding out and all that. So just being a good example in that part. Trying to make more impactful music and trying to get more involved with like community things and helping our community just outside of music. That's what I plan.
Hope is a powerful thing.
Hope is a powerful thing. Like just
Ties in
having
with like
hope.
faith.
Yeah, faith, hope, and just understanding that, like you said, when you're speaking to young people, if one or two of them have this type of spark where I could do something different and be better, and being able to actually physically talk to you versus even if you're looking up to a Jay-Z or something like that, like not being able to physically always meet them, but being able to see an artist that lives in Philly, come back to Philly, stay in Philly, however you do it, just interacting with them is really cool.
Right, Philly is like really, really underground. When like Meek was coming up, like a lot of us listened to Meek more than we listened to like Lil Wayne. And, like it was because he was next to us.
Yeah, literally.
Philly really embraced somebody that they're next to. So that's that's the main.
When I got to Philly, I'm from Columbia, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
I moved to Philly to go to Temple U in 2010. And when I got to Philly, I bought a radio and had it in my dorm room. And I remember hearing Meek on the radio. It was a Rose Red song. And I was like, yo, that is so cool. They play local rappers.
For sure.
So to be able to connect with somebody, I understand that.
Cool. No, that's amazing. So we're actually going to switch to Facebook Live questions, and we're going to bring in Emily from Global Village to bring in some questions. And we announced earlier that we wanted to have an open discussion, and not just me asking questions, but the audience from everybody's Facebook page to ask questions and interact with the community as well. So we're going to welcome Emily up and have a seat over here to ask some questions from the Facebook Live folks.
So first of all, thank you so much for joining us. So I have a question for each and all of you. So Shawn, I would love to start with you first. So throughout your interview, you say that people listen to rappers more than people listen to their parents. So with that being said, what is the long-term impact that you hope that your music makes on the city of Philadelphia and its culture?
Well, this is a big responsibility, but if they're gonna be listening to me more than their parents, I gotta make sure that I'm not telling like the wrong things and actually tell them listen to your parents.
Are you actually telling them that?
Yeah,
Okay.
like just the more positive things
Right.
that they might think is like corny, because people like these this generation, they just don't like corny. So a lot of the positive things, like even the more positive rappers, they look at it as corny because it's what I mean. But if it's something that's like, if they can connect to it. Like if they can connect to it, it's not as corny. You could say something positive as long as you're not corny to them. They can connect to you. So my main thing is just staying connected to the streets and not getting too far out, caught up in the industry and trying to get all like just stay connected to the streets so I can stay connected to them and I can have the communication and clear path to tell them something positive. Like, yo, listen to your parents. You know what I'm saying? Do this, do this, do that, and you'll be good. You know what I'm saying? So.
And Bria, I guess one of the positive impacts on music is the implication that it promotes social awareness. So with that being said, what do you think the future of music has and its relation to education and culture?
That's a great question. I think we're on an upward spiral. There's been a lot of music as of late that's been very degrading, that a lot of stuff that we don't really want to hear, but you slowly are seeing these people popping up with great music. And with Jay-Z's 444, now everybody is like, okay, when Jay-Z does something, the culture is going to start to change. So I think people adding these gems in the music can continue to uplift people, and everybody's going to be wanting to go back to college. We have the Yara Shahidi show that's about to come out about them going to college, and people, we're about to have an influx, just like we did before with Different World and Fresh Prince when they went to college. We're about to have such an influx as the music's changing. The label that I'm signed to, Ethical Music Entertainment, that's what we're all about, is just putting goodness back into music. So I can only hope and pray that we'll be a part of that change as well.
And that you'll be able to influence that as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so Kevin, I do have a question for you as well. So Philadelphia has experienced, I guess, a jump in job growth and revitalization over the past few years. And I guess with the tech sector growing pretty rapidly. With this, do you see yourself finding new ways to advocate for United Way's mission as, Senior Vice President of Impact and Innovation?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, of course.
More money.
Right.
Exactly.
It is what it is. We raise money to give it out. So if I don't raise the money, I can't invest it in the communities. I grew up in West Philly, right? Not too far from this brother right here. And that area right there needs investment, right? And so when we think about the growth that is occurring in our community, one is from this tech sector. So we need to tap into that. Those folks think differently, they act differently, they invest differently, right? So that venture capital is not the old school, how my granddaddy did it, it's the new school, how my son is going to do it, right? So I need to take advantage of that. Then there are also, that growth is being driven by young people, right? And so we've talked about over the years, if you were here 5, 6, 7 years ago, about the brain drain and how everybody was going to college here, leaving. Thank you for staying. We appreciate you. Thank you, 'cause you can start calling this home as soon, not just yet,
I
but
changed
soon.
my license,
Soon.
so
I think it's like the 10-year mark.
Is it the 10-year mark?
I'm at 7.
All right, we're going to check in at the 10-year mark and say, hey, you can now call this is where I'm from. But it's that generation, it's these folks here that we're trying to, that's driving that growth. And we want to keep them in our community, right? And so growth comes in spurts. We want to keep it going as long as possible. And so the tech sector, the young millennials, the folks that are coming after them, that's who we got to connect with, so to make sure that Philadelphia remains a place that people come to work, play, and have a bunch of fun.
And do you think Philadelphia is going in an upward growth, or?
Absolutely. I think that you can see it in the kind of the growth numbers. You can see the change where I was going with the brain drain. That's been reversed, right? So we have people the young people are staying here because they get jobs and so forth. And it's actually a great thing because part of that growth is also the older folks coming back in, right? And so that's not a bad thing. We talk about solving our problems in our city in a 2-generation aspect, right? So we got to think about the parents and the caregivers who are taking care of these children. Parents could be grandmama, right? Who are taking care of these young people. And these older folks who are coming in, they got dollars, they got disposable income, right? And that's important. And if we can keep that coming in, keep the young people here, we can have a mix in our community that's awesome, that will allow us to drive things that no other place can drive, that you could come here and be able to fit in very nicely and be able to do the things that you want to do and get the financial support, get the venture capital, do the things, get the record labels, right here in Philadelphia, and be able to support that growth. And United Way wants to be an integral piece. We are at the middle of all of that, and we want to stay there and help drive it.
Right. Love that. Love it. And Bill, how do you plan on measuring the success of your campaign at Made in America? I mean, is it brand awareness or is it something deeper? And what is the key takeaway you hope to get from it, throughout that entire weekend?
That's a really good question. I think the way in which we'll be able to measure success visibly is how many of our volunteers actually show up in the event that it rains, right? And we have
it's supposed to rain, did you say?
Yeah, so I'm thinking
no.
that the t-shirts and the fans may have been really bright, but we may need to add some umbrellas.
Oh no!
Right?
What is ponchos?
And ponchos. But success will be, I think, from the moment that the festival begins, it's already a success for the ACLU, as Rock Nation and Jay-Z are giving a portion of the proceeds to the ACLU. As Kevin indicated, being able to raise our brand. The ACLU isn't traditionally known as an organization doing work regarding mass incarceration, but again, it is the largest campaign in the 97-year history of the ACLU. So now people will know exactly what it is that we aim to do. And Pennsylvania is one of the states where we're making our biggest investment, because Pennsylvania is a state that leads the country in volume, rate of incarceration, and its racial racial disparities.
Right.
So being able to actually elevate that and make Pennsylvanians aware, and then the world, are a benefit that we can't definitively measure, but we know that it's such a tremendous honor and blessing and a responsibility for the organization to leverage this moment to actually drive the outcomes that our membership and that ACLU supporters actually want.
Right. So it's more of a long-term benefit from being, not like a tangible.
Yeah, I mean, since our goal is to get over 1.2 million people out of jails and prisons, I think we'll take our time. I don't think that we're really rushed to get that done.
Right.
The impact.
Can I comment on that? I mean, because one of the things that we're looking at those big, bold goals, you know, how do you solve poverty, right? It's been around, it's big, right? 26%, 27% here in Philadelphia, maybe down to 25.7 maybe. We're making some progress, right? But we look at it as a long term. This is a generational thing. So we look at it on a yearly basis. What can I measure on a yearly basis that's an indicator of success to move in poverty? Is that third grade reading levels? That's why we think that's important. And we know if we measure a child's ability to read at third grade, we know they have a better chance to graduate on high school on time, right? We know that if we can place somebody in a financial stability or a financial savings account, they have the ability to work towards either an education or an income. We have this IRA, Lupert IRA, individual development account, IDA accounts, which help people save. But we measure that on an annual basis, year by year by year. That tells us if we're not having success on a year-by-year basis, we need to change up.
Exactly.
Right? Because then we know that we're not going to be successful for our long-term goals. And that's how you measure progress over the long term. You pick these indicators that will allow you to have that success in the short term.
Awesome.
And one more question for anybody else or floor's open, so anybody can answer it. So what do people outside of Philly need to know about what's going on inside of Philly?
A lot. I mean, there's always a lot happening here in Philadelphia, from these types of festivals that benefit the local community to, as you mentioned, the tech sector, which is growing, which is where I am in. And there's so many things happening and growing in Philadelphia, from innovation centers to us winning bids from the DNC to, you know, NFL draft and stuff like that. Like, we're getting bigger and better when it comes to people are not just coming here and leaving, they're staying, going to school here and staying and growing their businesses here. And me being, you know, a business owner for 10 years, it's like you think about leaving, because when you first start, it's like, where are the resources, where are the partnerships, where, you know, all of that. And then you get excited and like, you know what, stuff is here. I can actually stay. You get excited, and concerts are here, and they stay here for 6 years when they used to come and be here for a year and leave, right? And now they're partnering locally, when most time they would come and they would do a concert and they wouldn't even partner or do proceeds or anything like that. And you'd be like, oh, well, thanks. You know, thanks for coming and leaving. So things are getting excited here, not only for young people, but like you said, people that are going back into the workforce or coming out of retirement and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm always going to interject music.
Always.
There's such great music growing in Philadelphia right now, and like I've been saying, the artists that are speaking about something are coming out of Philly. You got Shawn here, you've got Chill Moody, you've got so many different artists, Miss Links, Lex Dime. There's so many different artists that are speaking some great music, and it's not corny. You know, the Philly scene, I was just talking to him earlier about it. You know, there was definitely Gamble and Huff, the sound of Philadelphia. There was definitely a touch of jazz with Music Soul Child, Jill Scott, but now we have another era, and it's just blossoming. So please know that about Philadelphia.
What about you, Shawn?
I agree with what she said. Music, it's some really great music coming out of Philadelphia, and there's a more positive wave coming out, and the more positive guys are becoming a lot more popular as of being before. Like you said, oh, that's corny. It's like it's really blossoming in something great. And that's because the music game is you know, embracing more positive rappers. So Philly has a chance, like Jay-Z coming out with the album. Philly has a chance for the lyricists who really want to say something to do their thing. So,
So you have Sink or Swim Entertainment, right?
Yes.
So do you plan to keep that in Philly? Do you plan to kind of grow it elsewhere? Like,
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Started in Philly, but it's for everyone, because Sink or Swim is like, it's knowing that you have control of your destiny. And a lot of people that I run into are just like, oh no, I done did so much, like I'm burnt out, I can't do that. But you really have a choice to sink or swim. It's ultimately yours. Like, you can choose today whether you're going to be happy or not. Happiness is something you own, and you allow people to take it away. So, you know, I'm just trying to teach people to choose to swim, and that's for the whole world.
Nice. Dope.
That was hot.
That's dope. That's dope.
You know,
It's a little
I'm like,
closer.
yeah, let's smack that. This brother's tight. I don't know what I'm saying for that.
What about you, Kevin?
That's all about. Let me try to figure out what I'm
You know, that was a good little plug.
Yeah, that was- so that's all right. That's all right. That's why we got to be on our game. You know, one of the things, you know, when I think about my life and the things that I've been able to be fortunate enough to experience, I've been able to live in Atlanta, I spent some time in DC and familiar with New York, and I look at Philly and I say, wow, we have so much here to offer that is so better than that, right? And so, you know, in terms of the music scene is here, people don't realize also, you know, Budweiser is part of the sponsorship scene here. We appreciate that. Thank you very much, you know. But we got one of the greatest beer scenes in Philadelphia, right? You would be amazed when people come from all over the place. They are amazed at how much of a beer scene we have, right? And so I use that as an example of when you look at these other cities, Philly is much more navigable than these other cities. You have the opportunity to make a name. You can buy an apartment downtown and afford it, right? And you can't do that in these other places. And everything else is so blowing up that young people, black people, people of color can really make a name for themselves. Unlike where they got to battle all kinds of things in Atlanta, DC, New York. You know, you come here in Philly, you're able to make a path for yourself that you can design. And then, of course, my connection to yours is music. Mine is about being philanthropic, being social, being responsible. There's an easier way to do that and have a direct connection. You can do that through United Way. We can facilitate that. We can do it on your own, but it's easier, it's more navigable, and it's cheaper. You know, it's cheaper. And we got a hot scene that's backing it all up with young people, old people, and people in between. I think that's a great place to be, and to be able to do your work and to be an artist and to be able to experience that everybody else who's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, you know, because my work is national and I'm doing work in all 50 states, it's difficult to think about just what's happening in Philadelphia because I'm seeing so much of the world these days, particularly so much of the United States. But what I will say is that Philly is very diverse. It has offerings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. You can live whatever quality of life you desire in the city of Philadelphia. What I would say is that what people probably don't think is that Philadelphia is quintessentially American.
Okay. I love that, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. That was your close?
Fan drop.
Trying to combat it. Trying to hold it out. All right, so what's next for everyone up here? So what's next? You're going to Made in America, first time going this weekend, right? Then it's going to be Labor Day, a couple months to the year ends. What is next after the concert this weekend? And weekly and daily, this stuff's in the news. I know it kind of depends, right? What you combat.
Right.
But let us know kind of what your focus is. I know it's people in our prisons, kind of like your next steps in addition to the branding for this weekend.
Yeah, I'm delighted to talk about what the Campaign for Smart Justice is going to be doing in the coming months. We're going to be launching 2 national projects. The first is called I Have a Record. There are 100 million Americans living with arrest and convictions. And those 100 million Americans are in the closet. We can overcome 50,000 collateral consequences. Our ability to go to work, to go to school, to live in housing, to get insurance, and just all these collateral consequences impair our quality of life because we haven't been unified under the umbrella of people who've been discriminated against because of our criminal records. So this campaign is going to leverage the ACLU's popularity, our access to celebrity, to actually highlight what it looks like to live with a criminal record in America and who's living with a criminal history in America. White people, black people, brown people, old people, young people, doctors, lawyers, politicians, juveniles. So that campaign will actually give Americans an opportunity to see who we've been arresting in America in a snapshot. And then the next thing that we're going to be doing is another campaign called Vote Smart Justice, where it's going to kind of sort of be a virtual report card of national election politics. So people will be able to see where their elected officials stand on criminal justice issues. Do they support the death penalty? Do they support cash bail? And so with people being able to identify where these politicians stand on eliminating mass incarceration in America, we hope that people will actually use that tool to identify who to actually vote for in their next election. So those are the things that are on the horizon for the Campaign for Smart Justice.
That's amazing.
It's dope.
What about you, BriaMarie? What are you working on next?
Yeah, so I actually released an album. It's called 432. You can get that everywhere, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, whatever you use. And we're promoting that album. We just released a single called Bad Habits. It's a really, really exciting video. I transformed, so you saw it. Okay. Yeah, you guys have to look it up.
You gotta see it.
Bad Habit. Look that up. BriaMarie.com. And then we're also gearing up October, Love Over October. So October is National Bullying Prevention Month. And the idea behind the title of my anti-bullying initiative, Love Over October, is we want to spread love instead of hate throughout the year over October. But during October, we do social media campaigns, we go to different schools, so we're going to gear up for that and really spread the word.
Awesome. What about United Way?
Yeah, we got a lot going on in the United Way, and what I would say, after the council looking into the next year or so, we really focus on that intergenerational poverty, solving that. We want to create successful youth and stable families. We want to do that through some early learning activities that enable a child to read by 3rd grade, right? We want to create, we want to connect, 50,000 more youth in our region to a job or to work so that they can be self-sufficient. We want to create economic self-sufficiency within adults and move, hundreds of thousands of people from a poverty level of 100% of poverty level, which is $24,000 and $300 for a family of 4 in our region, to 200%. I just like to get it to 200%. That's $48,000. Imagine raising your kids or your family on $48,000 or $24,000. And so that's what we're focused on. We're going to be working with our partners, creating collaboratives, making sure we bring everybody together, march down a single line into a single goal, these 3 community objectives, helping these agencies do the work that they do so that we can make sure that the people who need us most can be impacted positively and we can move them in the right direction, in a forward direction, in a direction that they need to go and want to go.
Awesome. What about you, Shawn?
Well, also it's called Sink or Swim with Shawn Smith's story, as well as a single called Heaven. And our next plans are just like I said, moving an example, getting the Sink or Swim involved more with the youth in the community. And long-term wise, I'm really trying to be a black business owner. I'm really trying to really do really positive, successful things. And I had to talk with someone earlier about school. I heard you bring up school. I was like, man, I wish somehow in the future, if I get powerful enough, if I'm impactful enough, I can try to see how schools can teach more about credit instead of just a lot of stuff we won't use in life, like money management, classes about credit, classes about owning businesses. I feel like if we had a lot of those classes when I was coming up, it would have changed my mindset a lot. And I've realized I learned a lot of things that I never even used in life.
Right.
So those are one of my long-term goals, to get it more involved with the school district and try to find out if we can get some really useful classes. I understand school is a lot about learning how to learn. So you learn a lot of stuff. They prepare you to remember, preparing you to wear uniform and just behave. I understand all that, but having courses where you can get out learn. Because to be honest, a lot of parents where I'm from don't teach their kids about credit. You turn 19 and you're like, what is that? Ain't my credit score 500? What is that? You know what I'm saying? So to have it in your face in school would be perfect, something more important. So those are some of my long-term goals. But we're going to start now by just trying to be successful men and just trying to make a change and change the outlook of how people look at people where we're from, and just trying to do it the legit and right way and involve the Sink or Swim brand in the community and let them know we for the people.
Cool. All right, so we're going to close out. I'm have everyone say their name, their title, social media, and website. Start with you.
Yeah, let me try to remember all that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh Lord.
You should know that by
So
heart.
I'm Bill Cobb, Deputy Director of the Campaign for Smart Justice. Twitter handle is @bcobb at ACLU.
Why are you looking at me?
And
I don't know it.
Obviously, the website is aclu.org.
Awesome. What about you?
My name is Priya Marie. Again, I'm a humanitarian, entrepreneur, and entertainer. You can find me on social media at Miss BriaMarie. That's MSBriaMarie. My website is BriaMarie.com, and I thank you for having me on this. And to God be the glory for all things.
Amen. God to be the glory. My name is Kevin Down, the Senior Vice President of the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey. United4Impact.org is our site. You can hear about all the things that I just talked about and much, much more. How to get engaged, how to give, and do the things that we all want to do in our communities. At Kevin Dow 246 is my Twitter. Hit me up. I'm ready to hear from you.
My name is Shawn Smith, musician, artist, God-fearing man, and more importantly, I messed up.
You live, brother.
My name is Shawn Smith.
That music
My name is
That's right.
Okay.
You good.
My name is Shawn Smith, artist from Philly. I'm God-fearing. You can check me out at ShawnSmithStory.com. Make sure you stay tuned with Sink or Swim brand and everything that we're doing.
Awesome.
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 Thank you.
And I am Tiffany Standard, founder and CEO of Stimulus. You can catch us at yourstimulus.com or at your_stimulus. I'm also a media personality for Radio 1, 100.3 FM, Philly Speaks on Sundays at 8 a.m. And you can catch us this weekend. We will be hanging with ACLU as well as United Way doing media for the weekend, so you can see behind the scenes, follow the story, Facebook Live, a little bit of everything. And I want to thank our partners, from Generosity to Swissboard that had you streaming on all of these websites, to Global Village handling all of our media and our promotions, and will be with us this weekend. ACLU, United Way, Jabari in the back, everyone that's helped us get ready for today, and we will see you this weekend.
Thank you.